Senate File 925 supporters tell us that same-sex marriage is a matter of equality. It's a no-brainer, they say, just the next step in the struggle against discrimination and racism. The bill, they insist, will merely expand the institution of marriage to include same-sex couples. How will my same-sex marriage hurt your heterosexual marriage, is their mantra. But a look at this bill reveals that something much more insidious is underway here. For the bill would not just authorize any two persons to marry, as its title suggests. In fact, it would strip the words mother and father of meaning under Minnesota law. Henceforth, the bill states these two words, among the most beloved and culturally freighted in the English language, must be construed in a neutral manner to refer to a person of either gender. Of course, mother and father aren't gender-neutral words. That's a fiction. All Minnesotans, all of us in this room have a mother and a father, female and male, respectively, whose sexual union brought us into being. As legislators, you may be powerful, but you can't repeal this fact of nature and human biology. Yet same-sex marriage advocates have to pretend you can. If they are to convince you and the rest of us that a union of two people of the same sex is identical to that of a man and woman whose sexual complementarity is the only thing that can produce children, the next generation. This stripping of meaning from mother and father is just one signal of the tectonic shift that will transform our society over time if we try to redefine marriage in a way that portrays the anatomical, social, and psychological differences between men and women as irrelevant to human life and to the procreation and rearing of children, just as shoe size and hair color are. Marriage has been a male-female institution through recorded history and long before governments were formed. Is this because people in the past just weren't as smart as we are or were bigots? Of course not. It's because marriage has a vital public purpose. It binds fathers to mothers and to the children their sexual union creates. This is crucial to children's well-being and to society's future. If same-sex marriage supporters are to succeed in redefining marriage, they must deny this public purpose of marriage. Instead, they tell us the only criterion for marriage should be that people love each other. It's emotional intensity that distinguishes marriage from all other human relationships. Now, this claim has far-reaching implications, and if adopted, it will profoundly affect our nation's marriage culture over time as it applies to both homosexual and heterosexual relationships. First, if marriage is merely about emotional intensity, traditional marital norms based on male-female complementarity, like sexual exclusivity and permanence, no longer make sense, or at least become optional. Yet these norms are vital to the well-being of children. Second, if emotional attachment is all that's required, the logic for limiting marriage to two people, or even to people in a sexual relationship, disappears. Third, making marriage a gender-neutral institution would radically alter parenthood. Children need both a mother and a father who bring different and complementary qualities to child rearing, and the research on this is very clear, starting with breastfeeding. Two lesbians or two gay men, two lesbians and a sperm donor, no matter how loving, cannot replicate this. Most importantly, redefining marriage as a unisex institution would utterly and decisively de-link marriage from procreation and child rearing in the public's mind. Our marriage culture is already fraying. Our children are paying a devastating price for that. Same-sex marriage would accelerate the erosion of our marriage culture by telegraphing that the government is utterly indifferent as a matter of public policy to whether a child's mother is married to his father. The greatest victims will be our most vulnerable youngsters, low-income and minority children who already suffer most from fatherlessness. Same-sex marriage advocates argue that men and women don't need to pass a fertility test to marry, and so neither should they. The point, though, is that every marriage between a man and a woman is capable of giving a father and a mother to a child, whether born to the couple or adopted. And marriage between older couples does help to protect children, because if the husband keeps his vow of sexual exclusivity, he will not produce out-of-wedlock children. Same-sex marriage supporters compare laws confining marriage to male-female couples to laws banning interracial marriage in the Jim Crow South. But this analogy is woefully false. Race is irrelevant to marriage, and laws against interracial marriage kept men and women apart, frustrating the core purpose of marriage. But male-female sexual complementarity is central to marriage, whose positive public purpose is to direct male-female erotic desire into a socially fruitful channel. I began by saying that Senate File 925 would require Minnesotans to accept a fiction, that henceforth mother and father will be gender-neutral words under Minnesota law. The bill contains another fiction. It states that henceforth the lesbian partner of a woman who gives birth to a child in a same-sex marriage will be presumed by law to be the father of that child. And the bill doesn't really authorize marriage between any two persons. It prohibits gay people, like heterosexuals, from marrying a sibling, a cousin, or other relative. This makes sense, of course, where heterosexuals are concerned. It guards against the danger of genetic defects in children born to a couple who are related. But there's no logical reason for this prohibition when it comes to gay people. In fact, a gay person might well demand of you, how will my marriage with my cousin harm anyone else's marriage? Who are you to say I can't marry the person I love? And you will have no logical answer. The reason Senate File 925 includes these prohibitions is that this bill is an attempt to graft an unprecedented new sort of human relationship, same-sex marriage, onto heterosexual marriage on grounds that the two are identical. But the logical incoherence of provisions like this make clear that these relationships are, in fact, very different. Minnesotans have a right to live and to love exactly as they please, but they don't have a right to redefine marriage, our most fundamental social institution, for everyone else.